Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for this Thursday, June 22nd. This is Basil Numerzitsky. Looking at our impact map, it kind of tells the story in the short term. We have very hot temperatures continuing across much of the southern half of the region. Widely scattered thunderstorms will shift eastwards and south today. You can see those areas in the red where we do expect to see some lightning. Winds will also be increasing across eastern regions of Utah down towards parts of the Arizona Strip, and of particular concern will be where the area of lightning overlays some of these windier locations, as well as any winds in the vicinity of existing fires. And way down the road, towards the end of the weekend or early next week, we do have the potential for lightning returning to the western portion of the Great Basin. We'll keep an eye on that over the next couple of days. Over the past 24 hours, we had quite a bit of lightning activity across central Nevada and quite a swath, more isolated as you head into parts of northern and eastern Utah. You can see precipitation over the past 24 hours. A lot of this lightning over Nevada was fairly wet, but it did get drier as you head further to the east. Fire activity has been picking up over the past several days. New large fires in these larger red circles, otherwise new fires in the last 24 hours in the smaller red circles, existing fires already in the yellow. Precipitation over the past 7 days, quite dry across most areas. This does not include the precipitation over the past 24 hours across central Nevada. We did have a bit a few days ago over parts of northern Utah. Over the past 14 days, there was some significant wetting rain, especially across the higher terrain of central Idaho and into parts of western Wyoming and perhaps the far northern Wasatch, but drier as you headed further south. And looking at our ERC fuel conditions, you can see have become quite critical as you head down towards the third to southern half of the region in those reddish to dark red circles in the 80th to 90th percentile. ERCs not quite as critical as you head further to the north. However, in a lot of these areas where the ERCs are still below the 50th percentile, it's the grass crop, which ERC doesn't capture too well. We look at the 10-hour fuels and you can see where some of this critical activity somewhere between 3 and 9% in the 3 and 4% of the 10-hour fuels, and this shade of red through here extends through quite a bit of Nevada and into Utah, and even some little spots into parts of southern Idaho. So those are our concerns. Looking at the upper level map with satellite imagery superimposed, you can see a broad high pressure ridge dominating much of the west coast and into the Great Basin through here. There's not a really consolidated amount of precipitation through here. We're not quite into monsoon season. We have tropical storm activity pushing up into parts of Texas and Louisiana, not a factor in our weather. But we have this northwesterly flow with that deep low in central Canada, so there'll be some gusty winds coming in, maybe some disturbances that could trigger some isolated thunder in eastern Utah. You can see where there's some cloud activity through here. That'll probably be the best moisture source for any thunderstorms across our eastern areas for today. Otherwise, high and dry. So taking a look at weather, the upper level map on the left-hand side, looking at the ridge of high pressure off the west coast, dry air across western areas. This tail of darkness is some mid-level moisture through here, which could produce some lightning activity across parts of eastern Utah. The tightness of these height lines through here indicates we could see some gustier winds across southern and eastern sections as well. We can pinpoint that a little more accurately with our upper level maps with peak winds on the left hand side. You can see that across eastern Utah in these orange and purple sections. Could see wind gusts of 25 to over 30 miles per hour in these areas, as well as parts of the Arizona Strip and even into parts of southern Idaho. On the right-hand side, you can see in this green specks where the computer models project some isolated lightning activity. So across parts of Utah and along the Nevada border, we could see some of that as well. Not too much expected further to the north. And looking at Friday, still that ridge of high pressure building across the area. That should bring in more heat, should decrease wind activity. We don't have any high risk in particular for our area. And looking down the road for peak winds, you see they start diminishing. We don't have the strong gusts, but some moderate gusts in the lee of the Wasatch and 20 to 25 miles per hour. No lightning activity. You don't see any green dots here across the Great Basin for tomorrow. And then Saturday, high pressure broadens across the area, so we stay hot and dry, especially southern and western areas. Here's our 7-day story through here. Hot and dry, but no high risk for us. And weather-wise, winds really diminish, especially across Nevada. Moderately gusty across south central Idaho, parts of western Wyoming, but feels they're quite moist, as well as across the lee of the Wasatch. Maybe some moderate gusts of 15 to 25 miles per hour, but that's basically typical, so no out of the ordinary winds as we go into the weekend. 3-day precipitation on the large scale, not too much here. There'll be some isolated thunderstorm activity, which this prognosis doesn't pick up, but we showed that across central areas and eastern areas for today. And then going further down the road, as we go into Sunday, high pressure builds in. A bit of moisture starts creeping in from northeastern California. Fire potential on the right-hand side. Now on Monday, we'll be watching this little trough of low pressure coming on in. There'll be some thunderstorms maybe going to southwestern Idaho. We'll see how much further south they get. Significant fire potential on the right-hand side. And then as we go into Tuesday, you can see we have zonal flow. Winds will start increasing. Westerly winds getting quite gusty across a good portion of the Great Basin during that time period. We don't have high risk yet. We'll watch and see how that develops. And similar story for Wednesday. We have zonal westerly flow, dry air punching in, not unusually hot, probably seasonable, maybe even a fraction below normal temperature-wise, but winds will be picking up with low humidity during that time period. Here's our 7-day precipitation total through the whole period, really nothing significant to speak of. And the 8 to 14-day outlook takes us from June 29th to July 5th. You can see near normal temperatures and dry conditions overall. No significant issues through there. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.